Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. I don't know why the good morning thing came out. It is morning here while we're doing this, so I guess that's why. But I am back once again with another episode of Movers and Shakers, where I talk to people who are out here moving and shaking. Here's another one. I'm just swinging and hitting stuff out the ballpark. And so I wanted to bring this gentleman on here. He is doing some things, and I love it. Of course, Troy C. Smith is in the building. Welcome, Troy. How you doing?
I am blessed.
Doesn't it make
Thank
you
you.
feel
How are
like
you?
doing that? I'm
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
okay.
absolutely. Whoo, whoo, whoo. Raise the roof. Let's
I
go.
don't know. I don't know where I got that from, but it's been coming out every single time. Is in the building. I'm like, okay, the building we're in. So,
Yeah,
but anyway,
good.
Troy, when I talked to you the first couple of times, I didn't need to see you to know that you are not from down south. Not from down south. The accent and everything just gave
Uh,
you away altogether. I didn't know exactly which area it was, as I'm sure people will gather in just a moment as he talks to us. But tell us how in the world, for one, how did you get from there to here and into the whole corporate realm of things that you were doing?
Absolutely. Well, again, Stephanie, thank you for having me. It's an honor to be
You're
here.
welcome.
I'm humbled actually by being here. Um, I grew up in New York City in the Bronx, and I spent my first 23 years in New York City. And, we have these terms that we use in society. Like there's this term, the pink slip, right? And the
Mm,
pink slip, it was a pink slip that I actually received from this company that I was working for. And, the company was a railroad company, Conrail. And I was a brakeman trainee, and I was sick in the middle of the winter time.
mm,
And it was legit. It was bronchitis, and I was out for 4 straight days.
mhm.
And I was in the orientation period. And so they FedExed me an envelope with a pink slip in it
Oh,
that told me that I was terminated uh,
oh boy.
because I missed this time.
Hmm.
So at that point in time, I had nothing that was holding me back to New
Mm.
York City, and my mom had already moved down to Florida.
Ah,
My mom said, "Why don't you just start anew and come on down here?" And that's what I did. So I left New York City and I moved down to Florida, and I've been here ever since. And I absolutely love it. Love it, love it, love it. And it's funny when I go back to New York, all my guys in New York say, "Man, you lost your accent." But when I'm down here,
there is no way down here.
people like yourself say, "No, you ain't from here."
No, you're not. No. Mm-mm, mm-mm. But
So,
they know that originality and authenticity of being there, but we know it too. So to
right,
us, yeah.
right. So, I spent the bulk of my life now here in Florida,
Hmm.
and along the way, I went to Hillsborough Community College, and I thought I wanted to be a teacher. And it's funny how God works in mysterious ways. I had this yearning inside to just be a teacher.
Mm.
And so I went to school for elementary education because when I was going through elementary school, I cannot recall any male figures in school
Wow.
except for maybe the coaches during
Hmm.
PE,
Or the
right?
principal.
Or no, no, that was female principals.
Really? Wow.
Yes,
Hmm.
yes, yes. It was a dominated field by strong women
Hmm.
with my upbringing and my experience. So that kind of inspired me to want to go to school and teach.
Hmm.
But then all types of things happen that change your route.
Yes.
And ultimately I ended up at Geico, and I remember having an interview with the sales manager at the time, and he was looking at my resume and he said, "Oh, I see you went to school to teach." And he said, "I did too." And I looked at him, I said, "Really? So what are you doing here?" He said, "Troy, you'll find out that in life, you're going to get thrown some curveballs and some
Hmm.
chips,
Hmm.
and you go with the pitch."
Hmm.
And the the rest is history. I signed up. I was hired on to Geico. I spent 24 plus years at Geico before retiring and taking a leap of faith to jump into inspirational speaking and leadership coaching. But let me back up. Let me back up
Okay.
because my time at Geico, Stephanie, the bulk of my time was teaching.
You were
The
a
time
trainer?
at Geico, I was in leadership, but I was teaching people. Every day I was teaching people, whether it was how to handle life, whether it was how to pursue a sale,
Mm-hmm.
whether it was how to communicate and make someone feel valued and seen and heard. But all through my journey at Geico, I was teaching. And
Wow.
that's why I say it's funny how God plants these things within us. We may view it as one route,
Yeah.
but as it manifests within us, he says, no, 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 I got a different
I got
route.
something
But
else
you're
for
still
you.
going to use it. And the rest is history. And ever since then, I've been teaching, my entire life now. And you see my shirt, Hope, and the
Mm-hmm.
acronym is help open people's eyes. And,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what I'm called to do.
All right, man, you just slid right on over into that. That is so, so, so true. All those experiences that we ultimately have in life, God's going
Yes,
to use them some kind of way. It may
absolutely.
not be the way that we want them to. And
Absolutely.
I have to keep that in the forefront of my mind too. But
Right.
when you left the corporate field, how did you get into motivational, inspirational speaking? Or was it an easy transition just from the teaching element right on over into that?
It I thought it was going to be an easy transition.
Hmm.
I thought it was going to be very easy. Yet before I left Geico, it was back in, I started Geico in 1998.
Hmm.
And then my father's mom, my grandmother, passed in 2002. And it was at her funeral that was really the first time that I got up and started speaking.
Hmm.
And I wanted to say some things about, in respect of my grandmother, but the way everybody was talking at a funeral, it was very emotional.
Hmm.
It was a heavy weight in the air.
Hmm.
And I said, you know what, I'm gonna honor my grandmother and I remember the things that she did that just brightened everybody up.
Yes.
She was so full of energy and her aura and the way she vibed, it just made everybody feel happy and comfortable and at ease.
Hmm.
I started remembering her by these things and these attributes that she would display, and it just brought the whole environment up. And afterwards, my dad came to me and he said, "Son, have you ever thought about being a public speaker?" And I said, "Dad, no,
What you talking about, that?
no, absolutely not." That was 2002. And year after year after year, it was a seed that was planted.
Hmm.
Many people, as I'm doing different meetings and presentations, and many people will come and say, "Hey, you ever think about speaking? You ever think about speaking? You ever think about speaking?" So all these things just kept coming up and up and up. And then finally in 2016, I saw a John Maxwell event that he was holding in Orlando to become a certified speaker, trainer, and coach. And I went for that, and I got certified as a John Maxwell team member and going through that program. And it was ever since then, at 2016, that I knew for sure this was the route that I was definitely going to be going. And I remember telling everyone at Geico, I don't know when, but there's an exit date. There's an exit date. And I'm just preparing everybody, but
Hmm.
I don't know when. So the transition from corporate America, from Geico into this world, it's been humbling. It's been a grind, and I'm still learning.
Hmm.
I'm still learning. So to clearly answer your question, no, it wasn't easy.
Hmm.
Well, then again, in life, what really is easy,
Yeah. Right. Hey,
right?
we think it is, but
Right?
trust me, I totally understand that because when you step into any realm, it's like you think sometimes in your mind, oh, I'm about to tear this up and blah. And
Right.
it's like,
Right. Right.
you have
And
a
you don't know
couple of
what you
steps and
don't know.
stages.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah. That is
And
true.
when I say that, I want everyone to really hear that. You don't know what you don't know, and it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And what we have a tendency to do as human beings is we beat ourselves up for the gaps that we didn't realize we had,
Uh-huh.
right? But it's okay. And that's where
Mm-hmm.
you lean in and you just learn. And
Mm-hmm.
you lean in and you learn, and then you look back at, well, what facts do I have of overcoming things that I didn't know prior
Yeah.
that I did? And
Mm-hmm.
we can all look back at our factual library of learning how to walk,
Mm-hmm.
learning how to drive,
Talk and eating.
right? Talk, eat,
Stop
dress,
wearing Pampers. No.
right? Yeah, I saw a guy the other day. I said, "Yo, is no papers you got on?" No. But we seldom, not seldom, we often forget some of the facts that we already have in our lives, and the
Mm-hmm.
facts give us motivation and encouragement.
Yes, 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 yes. So how has it been for you stepping into the whole motivational speaking realm? And then what are some goals that you have for yourself coming up?
Well, how it's been fantastic when anyone finds something that they're passionate about and they're
Mm-hmm.
able to do it. And when you're doing
Yes.
it and you're in the moment, you're saying, "Oh man, I'm in my lane. This is where I
Mm-hmm.
need to be."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? And it's so fulfilling.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fulfilling, especially if you have a strong message, or especially if you're doing something to serve others.
Yeah.
That makes it even more fulfilling.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when I'm actually doing it, it's absolutely fantastic. I just did a TEDx talk um, in October in New York,
It's
and that was a tremendous experience.
mm-hmm.
It really was. And right now, it's almost at 100,000 views on YouTube. Um, and that was fulfilling. But it's fulfilling when I go to different events and I'm able to talk, and people come up after the event and they say, "Listen, when you said this, it really resonated with,
Yes.
and
Yes.
I can identify with this." And it's just a beautiful feeling of just being able to serve people in that aspect. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning how to get more stages and more venues booked. And again, you don't know what you don't know, but now that
Yes.
knowledge gap is minimizing, and I'm learning how to do that more effectively and more efficiently. Um, and it's just exciting. It's exciting to go this journey, and it's humbling as well because coming out of the corporate world, when I had revenue coming every 2 weeks, I knew I had a paycheck. Every 2 weeks, I knew I had
Yes.
a paycheck, right? It's a different game.
Right, right.
Yeah. Sometimes, Stephanie, let me not even say sometimes. Often I'm sweating. And I'm like, okay, when's my next gig?
Come on
So
now. I
you're
be like, come
searching.
on, Lord God, come on.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's humbling in that aspect and the resiliency in that aspect. And again, because many people don't know me, and it's a big space.
Hmm.
It's a huge space, and there's so many speakers out here. So it's, carving my niche, which is
Yeah.
leadership,
Hmm.
and just getting into that space and just creating a name for myself, or space within the space with my name.
Right, right, right. Because there is a place for all of us. It's just
Right,
finding that place, that groove, to kind of get into and then just walk it out.
right.
I know that's a song, but walk it
Get
completely
out. Yeah, walk it out.
out. And then now look, aside from all of that, you have come up now and you have become an author. Congratulations, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
Got your
Thank you.
book out there. Let me see it. I know it's around there somewhere.
Yes. So here's the book, Value Driven Leadership. Okay, you can get this online wherever books are sold.
Hmm.
Most people are going to Amazon. It's on Amazon, and this book it captures the journey of part of my leadership growth while in the corporate world,
Hmm.
and just giving some deep insight as to every human being wants to feel valued. Every
Yes.
human being wants to feel valued.
Yes.
We live in a world that we devalue people without even realizing that we're doing that.
Mm-hmm.
In simple communication, we're cutting people off. We're telling people, I understand, and then we're saying, but,
Mm.
and we're doing all of these things that just devalues people. And then we have traditional leadership, and traditional leadership is, it beats its chest. Traditional leadership takes uh, ownership of all the accomplishments without really saying, well, it's because of this team member and
Yes.
this team member.
Yes.
Servant leadership, which I really talk about, and that's my lane, it's putting as a leader yourself last and
Mm.
serving everyone on your team and their needs first and
Hmm.
making sure they are seen, heard, and valued. I put this book together because in my experience at Geico, as I developed all of these things. And there's a story of how I got there. It's in the book. It's actually on the YouTube channel. It's called Value Driven Leadership, as a matter of fact, with my TEDx talk.
Mm.
I go into the experience of how I lost my dad and the awakening around that and the opportunity to say, let me pivot and go hardcore in this area of servant leadership
Mm.
to make those around me feel truly seen, heard, and valued.
Mm.
Uh,
Hmm.
that's a game changer. When people feel valued, that's a game changer. And my call on this is that I want to leave an imprint on the world. And the imprint is, imagine this, Stephanie, imagine this. Imagine any job you ever worked at. Imagine if your leader at that job truly saw you, truly valued you,
Hmm.
right? And made you feel whole in that sense, made you feel
Hmm.
like a stakeholder in that sense. Turnover, you would have no turnover, right? If you're feeling truly valued, you're getting compensated for the work you're doing.
Right. Right.
You're excited to go to work.
Hmm.
And then when you leave work and then you get home, you don't bring the toxic anxiety that you may
Yeah.
leave at work and bring it into your
Hmm.
home environment. But if you leave work and you have a servant leader, you're coming home, you're whistling, you're smiling,
Yeah.
you're showing love to your significant others, your spouse, your kids, and it's just a domino effect.
Yeah.
It's a domino effect that you impact your community, your corporation, your home, and it goes on and on and on. And I've seen that. And I've
Hmm.
had people that worked alongside me, they said, it's a pleasure being able to work with you.
Hmm.
And I wish
Hmm.
everybody was this way. So that's my calling as far as servant leadership is to get in front of as many CEOs or corporations or leadership teams that I can get in front of and help their transformative journey from traditional leadership into servant leadership.
Wow. Wow. Well,
Yeah,
Troy, this has been great. I want to make sure that you, one, tell the people what's coming up for you, that they can get involved in and come see you by the book. You already mentioned that a bit. And then also, too, how they can reach out to you if they'd like for you to come and be a speaker or what.
absolutely. Thank you for that. I have a website. It's Troy C. Smith hope.com. Troy C. Smith hope.com. You can go to my website if anyone's ever interested in booking me as a speaker or you're interested in the program that I have called Teach, Model, and Coach, TMC. It's a transformative program that takes, again, traditional leaders into servant leaders. Um, I'm on all the socials. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn. My content there is really geared at inspiring people, lifting them up,
Hmm.
and leadership. And for those that are local in the Lakeland or Central Florida area, Stephanie, you are
Yes.
part of this. last year, but there's going to be a talent show that I put on for United Way. We did the inaugural show last year in March. This year, we're looking at around September, October. The date
Hmm.
hasn't been solidified yet, but there's going to be plenty of advertising of that coming out when that comes. And for you guys that don't know, Stephanie, she was at the show last year. She killed
Yes. Thank
it.
you.
And I am
Appreciate it.
excited to have her back and do even more this year. So that's something very big that will be coming that I just ask all proceeds go to United Way.
Mm,
That's our way of just loving on our community and giving back
giving
to
back. Yeah.
those that may be in greater need than we are.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much for that opportunity too. It was so nice. I love meeting people like that, and being out and doing my thing. And like you said, blessing the people, helping out a cause. Love that. So definitely keep that in mind. So I would say make sure you tap in and join and follow this guy here, Troy C. Smith, Stephanie D. Sanders, all of us. We're doing our thing out here, making
Yeah,
it happen, coming with a servant's heart and just blessing the people with every gift and talent that we have.
absolutely.
I'm trying to leave the world empty.
There you
So
go. There you go.
thank
I'm
you
right
so
there with you.
much. I feel you. I feel you. I feel you. And thank you so much for being on this show. We have a lot more shows coming up. If you think that you are that go getter and you need to be on here to talk and tell your story, please reach out to me at any of the social media platforms under Stephanie D. Sanders. Thank you guys so much. Thank you once again, Troy. And we will see you the next time. This is
All right. Thank you,
Movers and
everyone. Thank you,
Shakers.
Stephanie.
You're
All
very
right.
welcome.